Good morning, everyone, and happy Sabbath. Those that don't know, my name is Dewald Kutzer. I'm the principal at Tri-City Christian Academy. And isn't it quite a blessing to see so many young people up on the stage this morning just praising God, right? Let's give them a hand. I want to start off by just saying to the members of this church and even the constituent churches and non-constituent churches, it is because of your sacrifice and your commitment to Christian education and Adventist Christian education that these kids are on the stage this morning. And I always see when I came to Tri-City, it was always for me, it's a miracle for so many churches to come together to create what they were able to create in TCA. And it's all by God's grace. And so we're extremely thankful for that. This is one of our programs that we have at the school that we are extremely proud of, under the great leadership of Miss Loretta Spivey, who has done this for many years and is still going to do it for us next year. But this is a great opportunity for our kids to really go and give back. As you'll hear from some of the testimonies from our students today, it's life-changing. And so I know next year we're going to India. And I know that some of you were part of sponsoring these students. And so again, from the school's perspective, we just want to say thank you. Our goal next year is really to become service-oriented as a school. We are looking at shuffling our schedule in such a way that on Fridays, our kids will be involved in service projects every single Friday. And we want to do something that Mount Pisgah has done fantastically, and they did it this year. Every 4 years, the whole high school has to go on a mission trip. Some stay in Asheville, some go to Key West, some go to Dominican, and some go to Africa. We want to do that too because we understand, I don't know about you, but in my own personal experience, when I am in service of God, I sometimes find that I benefit more than the people that I'm serving. And that's what we want for our kids, right? And again, just in closing, it's because of you that we are able to do this. And I know God is the one that provides everything, but we have to be open and willing to have Him use us to have institutions like TCA. So again, just thank you so much. We appreciate everything. And as you'll hear from this morning from our students, this was truly a life-changing experience for them. So thank you.
Happy Sabbath, everybody. My name is Hannah Gabrielle Marks, and of course I'm from TCA. This year I went on my first, This year I went on my first mission trip ever. When I first heard we were going to Africa, I immediately called my mother and I was like, I need to go. Of course, my mother was busy, she had things to do, so my older brother went with me. Going to this mission trip, I had no expectations at all. I went with an open heart and an open mind, ready to do anything and be help to anybody that needed me to be help to them. The flight was long. It was like about 2 days, I think, and I was jet lagged. Like, I was so tired. When we first arrived, it was pretty late. That morning, we had to wake up, and we first went to the construction site. At first, in my mind, I was like, I'm not going to do construction because I have no idea what I'm doing, and if I do something, I'm afraid the building's going to collapse. I don't know. But I was like, I'm going to do VBS. When I first got there, I went straight to construction. I don't know why, but I did. And when I was there, I saw how they were teaching us how to do things and that you don't really need any experience at all in building to be able to help. And when I went there, I wasn't expecting anybody to talk to me because I just didn't think, I thought they would be shy. But immediately got there, kids ran up to us and they talked to us. And one kid named Raphael, we played soccer with him the first day we got there. He was so sweet and everything. He was so nice. From the days forward, I did construction, and in the evening, I would take a break because I was tired, and I would hang out with the kids there. There was this one girl specifically, her name was Jacqueline, and she talked to me, and we became really, really close. Like every day, I could be anywhere, and somehow she would just find me and just give me a big, gigantic hug. Or she would cover my eyes and be like, "Guess who it is?" And I knew it was her. But we always had fun, and they showed us around where they stayed at. And at that moment, I realized that I'm really ungrateful because they have little to nothing over there, but they're all so happy. They seem to be in tune with what goes around them. With us here, most of us, well, I don't know if most of you guys are not happy, but a lot of us sometimes get unhappy over the little things, and we complain over little things when we shouldn't. Being there taught me that there's more to life than what we have here. We can help others by doing little things. You don't even have to do anything really big. You can help them any way you want. The dedication day, we finished building the building in about 5 days, right? 5, 6, I don't know, one of those numbers. But we finished building it, and at the dedication, I was telling myself, I am not going to cry because it's supposed to be a happy day. But before the dedication, I had sat down on the patio and I called my dad, and I was just crying. I was just bawling because Jacqueline had told me that I was her sister, and that she told me that she loved me and that she didn't want me to go. And she asked me if I could come to her school. And I was just crying to my dad about how I didn't want to leave her. I didn't want to just leave her and never see her again. So I was just crying. So on the dedication day, I was like, you can't cry because I don't want her to see how sad I was that I was leaving. So she found me, and, everything was okay. And then I looked at her, and she started crying. And then that's when I started crying. And I couldn't stop crying. Like, no matter how hard I tried, I just kept crying. It wouldn't stop. And so we walked around, and she was just hugging me. And she was like, don't cry, I'll see you one day. And to this day, I still believe that I will see her one day and that we will be reunited. But like I said, going to Africa was an amazing experience. It taught me so many things, and I learned so many things from going there. And God changed my life in the way of being more grateful and seeing things for how they are, and not, basically he didn't sugarcoat anything for me. They're all so happy there, and here we're just complainers. So, yeah, Africa was amazing. And if you ever have the chance to go on a mission trip, I suggest you go. I know it's a lot of money, but God will somehow provide it, some way, somehow, and you'll get there. So, yeah, thank you.
Hello there. My name is Andrew Kelly. I'm a sophomore at TCA. So yeah, this was my very first time ever out of the country. Like, I haven't done much traveling, but it was super amazing. So first of all, this mission trip to Kenya was the best experience ever, and the people were awesome. I love meeting new people, seeing new places, and making an impact on the others. The construction work we were doing was hard, but it was also enjoyable. When we erected the school, we were building both blocks and building people. What really impacted me in the way those people live, and yet how grateful and happy they still are, it really made me realize how good I have it and that I have nothing to complain for at all. Most people there have nothing, but they still have a smile on their face. It was amazing on Sabbath hearing those kids and the principal at the school singing their hearts out so loud for God. It was the best thing I had heard in a long time. The safari we went on was super cool, and I loved seeing God through all of his nature and the amazing animals we got to see. It was an amazing experience, and I would 100% do it again. It was awesome to see God helping us work quickly yet efficiently, even though most of us had never done anything like this before. He kept us safe, and we were able to finish the building in only 5 days. I love meeting the kids and making friends with them. As Hannah was talking about, it was very emotional for many people when we finished the building and had to leave. But that was because of how much everyone loved the place there and the people. The entire trip was very eye-opening and helped me to be a better person. If you ever have the chance to go on a mission trip like this, like Hannah was saying, it costs a lot of money, but God will provide. If you have the chance, take it. You won't regret it. It brought me closer to God, and it will bring you closer too. Thank you.
Happy Sabbath. My name is Carla, and I'm 14 years old. When I went to this mission trip, I did not know how it was going to be or how I was expecting it. It was my first time on an airplane, first time everything, first time mission trip. So I was really nervous. At first, I really didn't think much about it. When it was getting closer for us to leave to the mission trip, I started getting nervous and I started realizing how far I was going from home. And but all of it was worth it. All the kids there were smiling, and everyone welcomed us with a big smile. Um, yeah, it's, uh, so when we got there, I felt like it was nice. We had an amazing time. Like they said, when we built the buildings, I really wasn't gonna build anything. I really didn't, but I did more VBS, and I enjoyed it. Many other things that I did in the past came back. A teacher that I had in 3rd and 4th grade, Miss Primero, she came with us, and we went through some songs and stuff that we learned in her grade, and I just like memories came back, and I was just like so happy teaching the kids these things. The songs were amazing, and crafts and stuff that we did with her. Building the building was nice. Like Hannah said, no one knew what to do, but we were taught, and we did it in time. And the safaris and everything was amazing. When we were leaving, I did not want to cry either. I didn't want to cry. The girls were amazing. They were all starting crying. And I was like, I'm not going to cry. I'm going to hold on to tears. But I didn't end up crying. But when I came back, I also told the story to my church, and I started crying because I didn't cry when I was with them, but then I started crying about how much I missed them. They were amazing, and I don't know, it's just really life-changing for everyone. Thank you.
Good morning and happy Sabbath, everyone. Many of you don't know me, and those who do, well, I'm introducing myself. My name is Maria Prindle. I'm 9th grade, and I'm lucky enough to be a freshman at Tri-City Christian Academy. When Miss Spivey first came to us to tell us about this mission trip, I was very eager and excited to go because, well, I've never been out of the country. I most definitely was nervous, but when I told my mom that I wanted to go, with some convincing, she let me go. So when I went to go get my passport, it was definitely difficult because I don't live in North Carolina, I live in West Virginia. So there were lots of forms that had to be filled out, even with that. But by God's grace, I was able to go, which at the end, I didn't think I would be able to because I didn't have my passport, but somehow I was able to go. When it was time to go on the airplane and go to the airport and do everything, I asked Miss Primero why she wanted to go on mission trips and why she loved them. She didn't necessarily give me an answer. She just told me I would see when I got there. And I was really confused on what she wanted me to see or what I would see. But after I got there the first day, it was like midnight when we got to the hotel, and I was tired. I was up for several hours. There were 2 very long flights that were 8 hours, and I was just exhausted. It didn't really hit me that I went to Africa until the next morning when I was on the bus and heading to the school. When I got to the school, I didn't have expectations because, in America, we're not necessarily as opening as the people there. So I wasn't expecting to be welcomed the way I was. They were so sweet and caring and kind. And during that first day, I had several of the girls and a young man, Raphael, show us around the school and show us what they do and how they live. And I was awestruck that in America we have so much more, and over there they have less than what we have, but yet they're happier than we are. When we went back to the place we were staying at that evening, Miss Primero came up to me and asked me if I figured out why she wanted me to see. And I did, because it's not something you can really tell someone how amazing a trip is. You have to experience it for yourself. And it was eye-opening. And I told her that I didn't really know what community love was until I went there, because they don't know you, but the kids would run up to you and hug you like they've known you your entire life. And so the next day, when it was Saturday, and we went to the school and we went and had church, and the principal was just as enthusiastic as the kids for singing the songs. And it was amazing because we have nice principals here and everything, but I think you're fairly nice. But the principal there was very enthusiastic with the kids. He would sing the songs. I think he was one of the loudest people there. And when I got there on Saturday and experienced all of it, after the service, the girls were talking to us and telling us all these stories, and we took several pictures with them in front of the school logo. And it was truly, it was nice. And after we went home, I realized that, wow, we have all these churches in the U.S., and we have our cars that we drive to them every single day. Well, not every day, but every Saturday. But I don't know, it seems to me in the U.S. it's hard for us to go and be excited to go to church. It seems more of a chore and not a blessing. And so I was honestly really shocked on how these people were getting to church through walking and riding these motorcycles to church, like they're taxis on a motorcycle. That was just amazing, and how they got to church. Sunday was the first full day of work, and I was tired afterwards. Let me just say, I was tired. I don't think I've ever been that tired before. But we did construction, and I did BBS as well. I did both. And the kids were just so excited to learn on what we had to teach them. And I think that was amazing because I wasn't expecting them to be excited the way they were. Anyways, fast forward to coming back. I was asked what I learned and if I would go again, and I would go again. It was nice. I would most definitely go on another mission trip because I felt like I actually did something. And it's a nice feeling when you think you made a difference. And so I learned in all that I should be more grateful for what I have because I have a lot compared to some people. And I don't think I'm as grateful as I should be. And so overall, I learned that I should be more grateful for what I have because some people don't have as much, but they're way happier. And I am lucky to go to a school that I go to. And so on the way back, it was also difficult because we had to fill out more forms in the airport, and I forgot to fill it out on the first flight. So I had to fill it out in the airport, and it was hard getting back. But all in all, we got back, we got safe. We slept when we got home. Some of us didn't go to school the next day. I did. And I was very surprised on how happy everyone was to see me back. Like, wow, friends can be enthusiastic. You don't know until you've gone across the world and you come back. Very enthusiastic. But I learned so much, and if you have the opportunity to go, I would most definitely go because it's an experience that you can't necessarily get here in the U.S. and you can't find. You have to go and do it yourself. Thank you for letting me speak with you guys today, and happy Sabbath.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Nyamal Gadkwat, and a little background information. I'm 15 years old in 9th grade, and I go to school at Tri-City. My parents are from South Sudan, so I'm South Sudanese by blood, and that's in East Africa, and that's very close to Kenya. And for some summers, I would fly to South Sudan. Like last summer, I went to South Sudan. So, it's very close. My dad lives in South Sudan too. So Kenya and South Sudan were really close, and once I heard that there was a mission trip to Kenya, at first I was like, oh my goodness, if I go to Kenya, I can see my dad because he can just go there. That was my master plan all along. But I also thought of other benefits to go so I could convince the people I stay with, because right now I stay with my auntie. I was thinking, I can see my dad, it's a mission trip, my dad will pay for it, and I'm going with my friends. This is perfect. So I told auntie, and she was just like, okay. Let Dina go too, and Dina's a classmate. So I went with Dina and everyone else at Tri-City, and I was like, okay, it's gonna be fun. And I'm used to flying long, so it wasn't that bad. And there were lots of shots and requirements to enter in Kenya, and I had already gotten them, so like, wow, this is a breeze. Like, this is going very well. And I already had my passport. I was like, wow. Only thing that we needed to get was malaria pills. I was actually very shocked because when I fly to South Sudan, never got malaria pills, and I never got malaria, I don't think. So I was like, I got them because it was required. I didn't take them. I'm still going strong. Anyways, so it was actually 2 8-hour flights from here to Paris, I think, then Paris to Kenya. Oh, oopsies. It was here to Atlanta, Atlanta to Paris, then Paris, I think, to Kenya. Yeah. And I'm used to taking 3 flights, but I was like, oh, 2 8-hour flights? I've never went this route. So I was kind of excited because we went to Paris, and I was like, oh, it's so fun. And when we were at the airport, Carla, Maria, and Dina and I, we learned a little bit of French, and we went to a restaurant, and we spoke French to get food. So that was pretty fun. And it was Maria's grandma over there. She taught, bless you, she taught she taught Maria and I a little bit of French to order, and it was fun. Anyways, after that, after our restaurant order, we made it to Kenya, and it was late at night, and I was just like, I'm so sleepy, and I was like, where's the bus? And we all got our luggage. We were just sitting out in the airport parking lot or outside of the airport. And we're just like, oh my gosh, where's the bus? We're so tired. We got to sleep. It was like 12, and I felt like we had Zoom 2 days in the span of one day. It was crazy. But when I was standing, I saw a very tall man. I was like, that man is tall. Anyways, and then I went to talk to my friends, and then an adult came there. He was like, Namal, that's your dad. I said, oh, really? And then I saw him. I was like, wait here, guys. And I started running. I was like, zoom, and I ran. And I saw my dad, and I gave him a hug. I was like, Dad. The thing is, though, I'm pretty tall myself, and my dad's even taller, and he hasn't carried me like a baby since I was a baby. He picked me up, and he was like this. It was kind of wholesome, and I was very happy I got to see my dad, and I was very thankful I got to see my dad as well. Now to the actual mission trip. We started working with construction. We had 2 options, VBS and construction, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, but everyone went to construction, so I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. And then I did. And it was to understand it seemed harder than what it was. Because once you do it, you're like, oh, I can do this. Anyone can do it. I'm not very strong, but I was lifting up those blocks, and we built the building. Not by myself, of course, but with everyone there who helped me, and of course, by God. So it was very, very good. I had a good time building the building, and I felt happy and proud of the building that we all built because we did it together, and we did it for people that we love. And yeah, and God was on our side, so that was really, really good and fun. Where we stayed at, because we didn't stay at the school. We stayed at a resort, hotel type thing, and the people there are absolutely amazing. The food there is amazing. I remember 2 specific people. Their name was Moses and Sylvia. They worked there at the resort, and every morning, because we had to wake up really early to work at the school, they would always even though we felt like we had to wake up early, they woke up earlier than us to prepare food for us. So I was thankful for that. And they would always just be so nice. Like whenever they'd see us, they'd be like, hi. And they would remember each and every one of us by our names. And they were just so happy, enthusiastic to all of us every morning, especially when it was somebody's birthday. A few people had a birthday there, and every time there was a birthday, like Moses and Sylvia and the rest of his gang would just sing and dance and be like, happy birthday, da 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 da, da 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 da. I don't remember it that much, but they would just do so much. And I was like, it was in March. And I was thinking, man, can I just say my birthday's in March? I'm an October baby, but I wanted it to be in March so bad so they could sing happy birthday. They were always enthusiastic, and I feel you could feel their energy come to you. So when you would see them happy, you would just feel happy too. They're like happy viruses. And I felt like their energy was just so amazing to all of us. And even though I might have woken up cranky, because who wants to wake up at 5, I would see them, and then my day would be good. So I felt that was a good moment in the mission trip. We also had days where we went out into some cities in Kenya, because where we stayed at was Kajiado. I don't really know how to explain it, but it's kind of geographically, it's kind of like a grassy land-ish. But we also went into the city of Nairobi, where we would go shopping, we would buy things. We also went to an ostrich farm, and all of those things were really fun. One thing that I was really surprised by, or not so surprised by, but oh my gosh, was when I went to the mall there. I have never been into a mall in Kenya, so when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, this place is so pretty. It looked better than a lot of the malls here in North Carolina. So I was just like, oh my gosh, everything here is so pretty. And they had great food there. I remember I got ice cream 3 times. It was amazing. Not in one day though. But the ice cream there was really good. It was Cold Stone Creamery. They have that over there. But I think I went there so much, the last day I went there, the lady recognized me. But anyways, some days, some of our break days, we would go shopping and buy things, and my dad would come too. And I was like, oh my gosh, how'd you get here, Dad? He'd be like, I came here. I was like, wow, crazy. I also remember this one specific time when we were working at the school in Kajiado. My dad had came there, and he was like, "Okay, Miss Spivey, I'm gonna take her home." She said, "What? What do you mean? She has to stay here." And they're kind of like going back and forth a little, not arguing, but like, Miss Spivey was a bit like skeptical, and my dad was just like, "Come on, it's okay." She eventually said yes, and I got to spend one night in Nairobi, which was pretty cool. And I've not been to Nairobi that much. Yeah. But fast forward to the end of the mission trip when it was time to go. I was lucky enough to stay an extra week in Nairobi to spend time with my dad, and everyone else went before me. So basically, my dad had to sign a consent form that was like, "Oh, my daughter can travel alone." And it was my first time traveling alone. And I was like, I live in North Carolina, and here I am in Kenya traveling alone back to North Carolina. I'm going to have to pray. Like, I hope I make it back in one piece. Thankfully, I did. It was crazy. But while I was traveling back, it really gave me a moment to reflect on everything that had just happened. I was like, I just met a lot of people. A lot of the girls at the school were amazing and nice to me. They're very open and also very enthusiastic. A lot of the people there I met were enthusiastic. And I was just like, I should be thankful for what I have and to change my mindset. Because what I noticed about the girls is just like when we were talking about things, relatively we had like some of the same like basic necessities, right? A roof over our head, water, food. We had that, right? But the way they view life, their perception of it is way different from mine. For me, if something doesn't go my way, I get sad, or I stay in my room, or I just close myself. And I'm pretty sure like a lot of other people do that too when something doesn't go our way, or if like something inconvenient happens. We just complain about everything, right? But like for them, if something bad happens, they change their perception. They look on the bright side. They're more optimistic. And I was reflecting on that. I was just like, I really got to be more optimistic like them. Like I should strive to be more like them. And when I saw a lot of the people at the mission trip, especially the girls, I was thinking like, wow, they're great people. And I thought everyone there are great people as well. Anyways, that's all. I'm not much of a speaker, but I tried. Thank you.
Okay, so now at this moment, we're gonna have the Q&A Pastor Matt had mentioned, and it's gonna be for Jordan Spivey. He has gone on a lot of mission trips, well, I would say a lot. I haven't gone on any. So if you guys have any questions, you can raise your hand, and I will come around with the mic, and you can ask Jordan. So you can raise your hand now if you'd like.
Well, I'm real happy to hear the experiences. We are from Kenya sitting here, and we were kind of listening to see what you got. So we're really excited that you had a good time. But you did not tell us where you went. The whole time we were here wondering, where did they go in Kenya? Could you tell us?
That is a wonderful question.
Specifically, where did you go? What school and all that?
So the school name was Kajiado, yes, and that was the city also. I believe it's West Kenya, more southish actually. Like southwest, like 2 hours from Nairobi, I heard. Oh no. The name of the city was Kajiado. Oh, the resort. Oh, Tumani Gardens. The name of the resort is Tumani Gardens.
Back there? Okay.
Morning, Jordan.
Good morning.
And I was blessed by all of the testimonies. Really impressed that you all had the courage and the opportunity to to go on a mission trip like this. And I'm just wondering, the experience that you had, maybe you can answer for yourself and for some of those that you went with, the opportunity to help people there who maybe had less than what we have here. Have you found that has translated when you got back to a more of a desire to reach out to those around you here, maybe neighbors or family or friends maybe who have less or maybe don't have the assurance of salvation? Has that been your experience?
I would say absolutely. I heard Mr. Kutzer say earlier, when you serve, you receive, it feels like you receive more than you give. And I think that the people who went with me can testify to the same thing, that I feel like I got way more than what I gave to the people I went to, whether it was through the building that we built, whether it's through the music, whether it's through just the interactions with the kids, whatever it was. And I feel like I received that service. So to answer that question, I would want to receive that same feeling wherever I go, whether it's here also. So I would be ambitious to serve somebody else, just because now I've felt that feeling and I want to go back to that, you know. Does that make sense? Yes.
How many field trips have you been on?
I've been on 12 mission trips. I lost count, and so many people asked me on the trip that I had to sit in the bus one time and count it out. So I'm at 12 right now.
I think this is one that specifically, that you can only answer, Jordan. You've been on so many of these mission trips, right? And you've had these experiences. How spiritually does that change you? Going through these experiences, is there, being on 12 of these mission trips, is there like a specific spiritual blessing that you feel? And what Sean was saying too, how does that translate to your life now that you're back in the U.S.?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm gonna answer first with what keeps me coming back. So I keep going back on these trips because, like I said, the way that you feel by helping somebody, by seeing the smiles on their faces. You guys said the building was built in 5 days, which is correct. They just kind of glazed by that, but I want to like kind of emphasize, there was a row of blocks on the ground. That's it. That was it. And in 5 days, there's a full building right there. There's a full building, right, that people are going to be staying in the next month max. That's not a stretch. They're there, like they're there, right? So it's just seeing that, being able to see like how it is to help people. It makes you feel so good. And I'm gonna use music for the example to answer that second question, and say that when I try to help people, when I feel that feeling of being on the trip and not thinking of anything, but I feel God, right? I feel God in this presence. Then when I come back and I sing for you guys, then my goal is to try to administer that same feeling that I felt in Kenya when nothing mattered and all I thought about was how I could serve God in this space, where all I could see is grass, trees, and everything is just about God in that moment. When I'm here, it's the same thing. I try to administer that feeling to you. And that's what keeps me going back on these trips. And that's what I bring back and try to give to you all.
Yeah, I'm hearing that quite a lot of the young people are so excited and sharing God. And my concern and my question is, why aren't we not as excited to share God here in America, I'm saying you're going on, here's a mission field here. What kind of connection can we make, use that experience to actually use that here and share God here? Because we have also a mission field here that we can do. So what are some of the lessons we can learn to actually share God here? Just don't go over there, but come here, bring back that vision and share here.
My mom's nodding at me to answer she wants to answer your question, but I'm going to answer first and then I'm going to give her a chance. Like I said, I personally, that feeling that you receive when you're there, when you're helping people, is the same feeling that I reach for every time I'm up here speaking to you, every time I go out anywhere, every time I play for chapel, whatever it is, right? So in that feeling of service, I'd like to attempt to reach that same feeling. And it's not about where you are. That you're 100% right. It's not. You don't have to go to Kenya to receive that feeling. That's the Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit is not in Kenya. The Holy Spirit is here. He's with us, right? So it's not about where you are. You're 100% right. I'd like to say that it's about just blocking out the distractions and being able to put yourself into that space. And I wouldn't say that. I'd say that Kenya kind of forces you to get into that space, right? Because there's really nothing else. You're there. You're not gonna not work for those 8 hours. What are you there for? You're gonna serve for that time, right? So I'd say just to put that same amount of time here in the U.S. I think you're absolutely right, sir.
So what the trip does is forces you to be in a position that you can't help yourself. I could tell you story after story after story that would not have happened in America because we would have fixed it ourselves, right? So there was a situation where there were 80 kids and 40 sandwiches. Well, you just go to Subway and get some more sandwiches. But the kids prayed and more sandwiches showed up, long story. So you force yourself to be in a position where only God can help. That's number one. Number two is that I have a really good friend who does a ministry in Pennsylvania, and he goes under bridges, and he feeds the homeless, and he gives them services, and he talks to them. And we have a joke because he's not going to Kenya, but I'm not going under the bridges. I'll fly 25 hours. I'll talk to people I don't know. I'll manage the language. But I'm here to tell you, I'm not going under the bridges. God gives everybody something to do. And the big joke is that he's not going to Kenya, but I'm not going under the bridge. But both things are getting done. And so it makes me nervous when people come to me and say, I wish I could do what you do. Don't do what I do. Do what God is telling you to do. And if every single person in this room does what God is telling them to do, we'll be in good shape. So yes, we should translate it here. We should absolutely bring it back. But we should also be clear to do what it is that God is calling us to do as individuals.
It's not necessarily a question, just a comment to piggyback on what Sister Spivey said, because I remember doing a mission trip to Africa years ago, and it's funny, this morning I was telling my cousin about how that was life-changing for me, but one thing that I remember that it did is give me perspective. And so when you're here in the United States, there's just some things that you're not going to understand until you go outside of your comfort zone and you experience something that you're not going to see here. Like when the young lady had talked about the joy that she saw on individuals' faces. I remember how I had an opportunity to speak there and the lights went out, but service continued. They held a flashlight over my Bible and kept church moving, kept it going. There was a little girl, I remember she came to church. She had on Snow White's dress. You understand when I say Snow White, like the costume that you would wear for Halloween? She wore that to church, and she didn't know that it was Snow White's dress for Halloween, but there was this joy to go to church. And so I don't see that type of joy in the States. It's unfortunate, but when I went to Africa, I remember there was this joy. You know, people walking miles to come to church and be filled with joy. And to see that kind of joy and knowing they don't have, you know, the Holy Spirit rebuked me, you know, so it's like I can't come here into the States and not bring joy, knowing the amount of blessings that I have when people who don't have, they come with joy. And so there's just an experience that does not happen unless you go to places that don't have the material things, but have this unspeakable joy that only comes from God.
And while Faith moves over there, I'll piggyback off of that and say that the second Sabbath we were there, we had church under a tree. We were not in a building like this with lights and a beautiful screen. We didn't have, it wasn't even like the first day where we had a nice roof overhead and rows. We were under a tree. And I can honestly say that that was one of the best worship experiences I've ever had. So going back, it's not about where you are. It's about who you're with. It's about the Holy Spirit being there with you, worshiping God.
All right, this question, I think you've kind of answered it already, and I don't know if Faith can just maybe, for anyone willing up front there, but what is something you're doing different now that you have come back? What is something that you've changed in maybe your lifestyle or just your perspective of something? But what is something that is different ever since you got back?
One thing that I'm doing differently is changing my perspective on life. Like I said, when I was on the plane ride, I was thinking about all the girls and like their energy, their happiness, and how it comes from within and also within here and also within here. You know, you kind of, it's like they're so optimistic. So when I got back, I was like, let me be optimistic. Like when something doesn't go my way, when something goes wrong, like let me try to look at a positive side to it and how to prevent something bad like this from happening again so I can be happier and making the people around me happier, trying to be a happy virus like those girls were for me. That's what I'm trying to do differently.
For me, just like Namal said, being more how you say it? Optimistic in situations that aren't so good, and also realizing that it's not about where I am, it's about what I'm doing where I am, if that makes sense.
My turn, Mr. Kutzer. Anyway, so mine is also more of a comment from Ms. Spivey and the gentleman over here. I think most of you know that we are from South Africa, and for us, we are in America because this is our mission field. You know, we're from South Africa where we always see foreigners come and do the mission in our country. And when we were called to come to the States, we were actually coming because Mr. Kutzer was going to study to be a pastor. Things didn't work out, and I believe we are at TCA because that is our mission field. And I mean, people in South Africa keep saying, you need to come back and this is where you need to work. And we're like, no, because there's enough missionaries coming to Africa. And, you know, like Ms. Spivey said, everybody has where they need to go. But TCA is our mission field. And I believe these students coming back from Africa, we do it with our kids when we go home. We hope that every time they come back, they will realize how fortunate they are, but more than that, you know, be able to, in the school, in your family, friends, be able to influence them in reaching other people, you know, for God. And just like we're so blessed where we are. We have so much and so much to be thankful for. And every day, just sharing that with those around you, that people see. Like one of my favorite quotes I always say is, spread the gospel, and if you have to, use words. Let people see it in your actions. Don't just speak up front, let them see in your actions on a daily basis. I haven't had the privilege to get to know Jordan, but I can see in his action just at the school, I've seen that he's a man of God. And I'm thankful for all of you for being here and sharing that up front, because I know it's not easy. So, thankful for you guys sharing with us this morning.
Are you from Africa? Because you know so much about it.
I'm not from Africa. No, I was born in Hartford, Connecticut. I have been to Africa 3 times. I went to Zimbabwe at some point in my life, and I've been to Kenya 3 times. So I've been 4 times, actually.
I just want to say that I was very impressed by you all in terms of the perspective that you got out of the experience, in terms of the fact that those kids were so happy. They have a fulfilled life with nothing, even if they have nothing. And that you didn't go there and say, ha, look at these kids, they have nothing, we have so much in the U.S. You learned and you grew from that experience, and you found out the joy of living, not materialistically, but you added so much to your life. So that is something that I was very impressed with. Because you can go there with that perspective and say, oh my goodness, these guys are so poor, then you're gloating about everything that you have. But that's not what I heard from you. So I pray that even the rest of us, let's create that perspective. If you can't go on a mission trip, you can hear it from those that have been. And we can all grow from that. And I don't know your name, what you said, but create a different mindset. Yeah. And allow God to work in us. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to piggyback off that. My mom has a saying, something happens in her day, she'll say, if that's the worst thing that happened to me today, I'll be all right. And that's a great point. That's the mindset that we need to have going into our day by day, because if I tripped over my shoelace today, I have shoes on my feet, right? So that's the mindset that we should have.
We can take a couple more. Don't be shy.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. There's one girl up there that got up front that spoke, that I know that she's the shyest student that I've ever had. But to hear Carla talk and see all the pictures with her joy on her face, I know it really touched her life. And I can see that change already in her, and I think that's going to continue. That's wonderful.
Amen.
Okay.
So he was asking us like what we ate and stuff. The food there, it's fresh. You know how like the food here, it's like preservatives, chemicals, whatever else they got going on in this food. There, it's good. Like you can eat it and not feel like you gained like 20 pounds. You know what I'm saying? It's fresh and it was so good. We had every meal we had options. Like it wasn't just one thing. Like for breakfast we had like waffles, potatoes, coffee, fruit. Oh, the fruit was amazing. Smoothies. There was more than that, and vegetables and stuff. Ice cream, yeah. And for lunch, we would always have a good lunch. Like the things that we ate there, it was like a meal. It wasn't like, you know how like for breakfast we have kind of like food that like cereal. They had cereal, but like they had other stuff to go with it. It was like a full meal. It wasn't like little bits of things. And we have like weird things here. No offense, but they're still good too, but there it's better.
Did you eat local food?
I'm glad that you enjoyed our food. I'm just wondering if you actually got a chance to try some of the traditional dishes, and what would you say? I know a lot of people when they travel, I know when we traveled and moved here, we had a hard time with the food because we're used to our food, and we had a hard time with the food here. And so what would you, my question was, did you get a chance to try some of the traditional food that you don't actually eat here? And what would you advise people? I know a lot of people like to travel, but a lot of people are afraid because of the food.
So when you travel with Maranatha, there's actually all the food actually is coming from there. So there's somebody from Maranatha who's in the kitchen with the people from Kenya, making sure that there's clean water, everything's being cooked. So if you go on a mission trip and it's with Maranatha like we did, you have no reason to worry about the food. We had chapati, which I believe is one of the Kenyan dishes, and that was delicious. That was amazing. We had ugali, and that was also great. You see, they're clapping, right? So we had safe food that was also natural and delicious. So food, that should never be a worry for you.
Yeah, and to go with Jordan and what he just said, you should never really be worried about what to eat because all of it's good. I'm going to say right now, all of the food is absolutely amazing. Like, as Hannah was saying, like, you had, obviously, we had American options if we didn't like it, but just try it. If you can eat it, try it because you won't regret it. It's super good.
Back to the food. A lot of it was good, but I understand some people might have dietary restrictions, like they're vegan, vegetarian, or lactose intolerant. I understand that. For me, I'm not, so I could eat anything. But for those people, a lot of the food they're like, it didn't like have like a lot of milk. A lot of it was already vegetarian within itself. Now, I don't know too much about the vegans. I mean, there was good salad, and there was delicious cabbage. There was a lot of good food, so like really anyone could eat it regardless of dietary restrictions. And even if like you're on a diet and you're scared to gain weight over there, because we ate like 3 times a day, and I think that's a lot for some people, but we went there, we ate 3 times a day. I came back, I didn't gain any weight, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people didn't gain any weight. And a matter of fact, we lost weight because the food there was really good. Like, it was really, really good.
With the diet restrictions, I'm vegetarian and I'm lactose intolerant, and there was plenty of options even if you have these restrictions. There's still so many options you can eat, and you can still taste the cultural food because it's not all made like they don't necessarily worry about it as much as we worry about it here in the U.S. So you could eat a lot of it, and it was pretty good. Yeah, I felt good. I had energy.
All right, well, I think that's where we're going to leave it off on, some food. I want to thank you all for inviting us, welcoming us, and Miss Loretto, she has been doing this amazing, helping us go on mission trips, and we're very grateful for her. So I want to thank you so much. And I think we're about to do some music.